Welcome to Female Voices, Life and Loss, a podcast dedicated to women from all walks of life. Whether you're navigating through loss, seeking growth, or simply looking for a place to feel understood, you've come to the right space. Each week, we provide compassionate guidance, share diverse stories, and offer practical advice to help you heal, grow, and thrive. No matter where you are on your journey, we're here to walk with you. Let's grow together.
Hello and welcome back to Female Voices Life and Loss. You are in for a treat today because guess what? I'm here, Teresa Reiniger, and
LaWayna Berry, thank you so much.
We're both here today. It's been a while since we've recorded just the two of us, so I'm excited about this. I might have forgot how to record with you. I'm not sure, but
do you all see the shade that she is throwing on me right now? That's what she's doing.
You've been doing yours. I've been doing mine. We've been doing some together. We've been doing more together with someone else. The three of us. We've been doing more of that here through the summer. So now it's just the two of us, which is super special to me.
It is. It is.
That wasn't a jab. It just wants you to know how special it is when the two of us come together.
That was love. She was showing me
love. There's some love there.
And I received that, you know.
Yay. So, and you need lots of love right now for sure, because the topic that we're going to talk about is the second year after the loss of Joshie, and also that second anniversary that you just experienced. And I think you've posted many things on social media about that, so that's why I'm like, let's talk about this. Like, what's going on so you can really share with the audience and hopefully encourage them and guide them in some direction, or just normalize what they're feeling. So speak to that.
I do post when things hit my mind. If I see someone on TV that I know maybe another grieving parent might, be feeling or going through. A lot of times it may not be what I'm feeling, that whole day. Maybe I just had 2 minutes of that feeling and I was like, oh, somebody else might have the same kind of feeling. So I'm going to post it. And so what Teresa's talking about, I was watching kind of the Sex and the City second season. I'm way behind. I didn't know there were three seasons. So she has a new one, and of course on there, Carrie's husband dies, and so she's super proud of herself for getting through that first year. And she ended up realizing that the second year was 3 times as hard as that first year. And so I wanted to kind of normalize that experience for everybody else. Like when I meet my therapist, she's like, LaWayna, I think you were in shock for the first year. She was just like, you just kept doing, you kept moving. And maybe that's true. I'm not on the other end watching me. But I did kind of just like, what do I need to do? What is, I was just really in survival mode, I think, a lot. And then it was January. Joshie had been gone since August, and it's January of 2024. And I think that's when it really, really hit me, like, I'm never going to see my son again. And it's just, the waterworks, and it's just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. So it's almost took my breath away. Just the thought, I'm not going to see my kid again. So that was a little hard. And we have talked about this already. And so I have kind of more complicated grief, just with my son died by accident. My husband forgot about him in the car. It was the summertime. So it's the summertime again. So anytime I'm in a hot car, I get triggered. And my son looked identical to my husband. So if my husband makes different faces, it reminds me of my son, and then it automatically reminds me he's not here. So this second year, the first year, of course, was super, super hard. My husband did not want to do anything in remembrance of him on his birthday. And my husband, from his perspective, he's like, I celebrate my son every day. I don't need his birthday or his death day or his memorial service day for me to think about my son. That's kind of his thing. And I was like, yeah, but those are the days for me that Joshie, it's only about him. Because when he was here, it was a lot. We're a blended family. So my husband was, and this is just my opinion, of course, he was trying to over make sure that his kids didn't feel slighted because we had a baby in the house. So he kind of overdid it with that. And so with our son, he, in his mind, my perception was, he's like, I'll get to him later. When he gets a little older, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. That was, to me, was kind of his mindset. And him, like a lot of men, they don't really like little babies. For a lot of men, that's just not fun for them. When they can talk and walk and use the bathroom, then he's like, he's going to be my son. He's going to be with me all the time because he's an outside guy. He likes to move around. He's doing the activities. He's doing nature hikes with the kids. That's his thing. He was just kind of like, dang, he was just getting big enough to do some of that stuff. So our challenge for me was just like, our son with special needs. And so even for him to even live, as long as he lived, was a miracle. And so that was kind of me and my husband, heated discussion, because I'm like, he was a miracle. He was supposed to be dead at 1. So it's just like, why wouldn't you put eyes on that? Why wouldn't you have... He's the most vulnerable person to me in the house. So it was a lot of just emotional toil on that.
Yeah, and I think you guys very much so, and we've talked about this before, grieving and processing very, very different. And just even when you said like his birthday and celebrating his birthday, and no, I celebrate him every day. Those are 2 different ways to grieve and honor a child that you've lost.
Right.
And I don't know how you navigated all of that, if you did your thing and he did his thing, or if you were able to come together to celebrate him. I believe, if you may have talked about this, that you went for tacos, because I think that was the thing that Joshie liked. Is that correct?
Yeah.
The place that you guys kind of come together for tacos, and we still need to go to that place. We've talked about
it's delicious. Taco La Jefe. No, that kind of ended up being, he was probably only 1, and that was kind of ended up being the thing that he would eat. Very, my husband kids him, and the kids, well, his kids are very particular eating. Like, they just won't eat anything, and that was new for me because my oldest son Gabe ate everything, so I was very confused. But that was one thing that I know I could get him to eat, was meat. So on his first birthday after he died, his birthday falls at the end of the month, so it's the 31st of March. And my husband normally has to work on the last day of the month. So he had to work. But the kids were with me. My family came out. Maybe it was like 20 of us, my church members, my pastor. So maybe it's about 20 people or so. I paid for everybody. So this is just a day to honor him. They stayed open late for me because they usually close at 4, but they stayed open till like 7, 8, just to and they remember my son because he looks a lot like their children, and so they would often speak Spanish to him every time he came in because they thought he was Spanish. So they would talk to him all the time in Spanish, and then he would flirt. He already knew what he liked, so he would flirt with their kids and stuff too. It was the whole thing. But super sweet. Everybody was super loving. And ironically, this year, my cousin, who was one of his teachers, I have a family of cousins who own a preschool. And so she happened to be there at the same time we were there, and this was on his death day. And so she was missing Joshie, and she said, I'm gonna go and get some tacos. And she just happened to be there when we were there. But from last year to this year, it was challenging. I wanted to honor him. I don't know that my immediate family, my kids, I don't know that they wanted to put any focus on grieving. Kind of just did it because I kind of forced it, but I'm okay with it. So this year I was like, I'm not going to force anything. I usually order a yard card that says happy 5th birthday in heaven and things like that. I didn't do that this year. I was just like, I think I forgot to, but I was just like, I don't want to force anybody else to join me in my grief. Like, if they remember, great. But if they don't, only person I really expect to remember and be present for is my husband. And that's
Sure.
just not him. As you shared, we think totally different about most things.
Yeah.
He's pretty
Yeah.
analytical. I'm kind of feel, see, discernment type thing. So, but
Yeah.
this year, when August came around, the day that he died, August 3rd, my husband, and this is big for him. Like, he did not do anything. He didn't
Oh,
call anybody. He didn't go get his kids. He was just like, this is a day for me to support my wife through this, and for us to, remember Joshie, however she wants to do that, whatever that looks like.
good. Wow.
And for me, so that I'm just going to be a living memorial, so I got like another tattoo. That's my thing. I'm going to get a tattoo, angel, angel baby, angel whatever.
Okay.
So I ended up getting a Morse code with their initials, like my oldest son initials, Joshie's initials, and I have another baby in heaven. So that baby, and it just says baby, just a way to just honor my kids. So that was really that was different. Especially my parents were moving, so they were trying to get him to help too. He was like, no.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
like,
I think that's a beautiful way to honor that anniversary date. So do you think you'll keep doing tattoos every year? Yeah?
no,
No? Yes?
it's really birthday and death day. So I do want for each day I'll go and do that.
Okay.
Just to give myself, this is my activity. I didn't look at a lot of his pictures this month because I have migraines real bad, and I was just like, I can't have a migraine for a couple of days, because I do. If I cry for a long, long time, I'll have migraines for days on end. So I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't have a migraine for 3 days. I got to go to work. I had a client at 8:00 in the morning too the next day. So I was like,
oh. Okay. Well, that's self-care. That's your knowing, what to do for yourself and what not to do to avoid things. So how do you think the first year was different than the second year? And I'm talking not just the anniversary date, but the whole year in general. You already spoke to about 6 months later. It was like a lot of emotion release. And you were aware, like, now it's hit me, like I've come out of this brain fog, this shock mode, all of that. But then you got to that first year anniversary, and you did what you're celebrating or whatever you did to honor him. How did that second year? How was that different? Can you pinpoint anything that was different from the first besides
I think
total awareness?
I think I was busy though, because I had finished my degree in counseling, which I had started that degree like in 2010. So I had nothing left but my externship or whatever. So I was finishing that degree. I was like, I don't have any excuses. So I was just kind of militant with myself, like, this is what we need to do. And the other thing was counseling small kids that were around his age. So I'm counseling kids that are kindergarten and second grade, and I was just, and those babies just gave me so much life. They gave me a reason to get up every day. Because I had little people that were looking for me. Somebody needed me in a different way, than my family. And working in an inner city school, the need is so high. It's so high. So just being able to show up for them, even if it's just from 8 to 3, it did me good to get out the house, because I was working from home. And I only had that job for my son. That was the only reason I was working from home, to be able to take him to doctor's appointments and all that. But the babies at school really helped keep me going. They helped me just to advocate for somebody else. In the second year.
Was that the second year? That was the first year. Okay.
Yeah, I went to school as a school counselor like a month after, maybe 2 months after he died. So that helped me just to have a routine, have a structure, have things I'm responsible for. It was a hard year because me and my husband, grieving very, very differently, very differently. So we were in separate places. Gosh. And by the time August came around, the first anniversary, probably before August, it was June, I think we were talking about getting divorced. Like, literally. We were just kind of bumping heads on every single thing. We didn't even talk for like 6 weeks. We did not talk at all. We were in the same house, did not talk. So that was a lot. I don't remember. I think I ended up just falling at the altar, honestly. That's what I think ended up happening. I know some pastors that prayed for me, and I just say, hey, this is what's going on. And one of the pastors, she has very good discernment. So I've seen her, I've watched her. So I know she walks with the Lord. And her first instinct was like, LaWayna, I'm not going to pray about your marriage. She's like, I don't know your husband. I'm not going to pray about your marriage because I don't know if that's what the Lord wants me to pray about. But she's like, I'm going to pray about your relationship with the Lord because you were his bride before you were anybody else's. And I said, okay. So they gave me perspective. It was just like, you know what? I'm going to lay it at the altar. And I just prayed. I just prayed for a long time, probably 4 hours. I just prayed. And then I got mad. I got gutter. I ain't going to even lie to you. I got so gutter with my husband because I was just like, oh, do you want to date somebody else? You want to be somebody else? You could have just said that. We have kids involved. It was just a whole thing. And basically what ends up coming out of that is just me and my husband, we both are just kind of lost. We don't really know what to do. He's moving his grief in his lane. He talks to people at work who are grieving. So he has his support group. I don't really have a group until I joined the Weavers group with BJC and things like that. At that time, I don't have a group. So he's like, you need to find you a support group. And then, so that was that year. What's the difference between that year and this year? Again, ironically, we were talking about divorce again in June. June seems to be the month, So we had to go through the whole thing again. And what ends up coming out of that situation is that we both are saying the same thing again, but have different pathways to get there. Like, I want our marriage to grow. I want our marriage to be different. My pathway, of course, is mental health. His pathway, for him, that has helped him in his grief, or he's bought 4 books that he wanted us to read together. And so I was like, the books are positive information. Sure. Okay, I'll read the books. It's not a big deal. But that was just kind of where I'm like, you need to do it my way. He's like, you need to do it this way. And so it took probably a week of talking and arguing and yada 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 to figure out, oh, we're saying the same thing.
Oh.
And of course, it's yours truly, because the Lord walks with me, that is telling me, LaWayna. And like my poppy would say, the Lord told you because you're the anointed one. You're the more spiritual one. You're the one, he says, and Poppy says, daughter, look at this as what it is. It is a spirit. The devil doesn't want families to thrive. The devil doesn't want marriages to thrive. I need you to fight the spiritual battle and not your husband. I was like, oh, fine. I got to be all mature and stuff. Dang it. Now I got to go in here and talk to him and be like, and stop cussing and stuff and act like I'm a woman of wisdom.
Yeah, Puppy always has really good insight and wisdom to share with you. He's been on the podcast multiple times, and you talked about him multiple times, and I've told him that you talk about him all the time. I'm hoping he's listening to our podcast because
he is not. He's a man's man.
Okay, I'm reaching out to him.
Listen each week. No, me and Poppy talk. I can tell him hard truths. He can tell me hard truths. I'm usually the one telling him the hard truths because I know my mama, and I'll be like, you need to do X, Y, Z, because my mama not going.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, the dynamics, but he is very much a man's man. So saying that to say, there's not a gentle touch. And I'm like, sometimes you're going to have to be a little gentle. It's you got all these ladies in your life, okay?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna say it. We're gonna hope the Lord, is gonna work through that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, just describing, you described first year, second year. What happened in the second year that was totally unexpected for you from the first that you did not see coming? Anything that you can think of?
That
well, I would not think that you would have expected to be going down the whole thing again about divorce. Maybe you thought that was still going to come, but that to me would be unexpected. But what else? Is there anything else that you were like, oh, I did not think that I'd be doing this in the second year?
Well, one of the things is totally like one of the counselors, Ajuma, he says, man, LaWayna, you really grabbed the bull by its horns with this mental health and this bereavement, And so probably more of the second year, I maybe wouldn't have thought I would lean in more with my own, just talking about that. The other side of the second year is you think that maybe nothing can hurt you more than that. So just dealing with relatives, just their response, because it's kind of like, aren't you over that kind of thing by now? Not verbally, but kind of the behavior is like, oh, you're still talking about this grief thing. Like I talked to my god uncle, and me and him literally were arguing because he was like, if my child died, I would know how I would feel. And I said, Uncle, I'm gonna tell you, you don't. I said, well, I role played all day, especially with my son having that genetic disease. I'm just like, I thought I'd be on a highway, on the middle of the road, but I was like, that's not what happened. And he's a pastor, and that's one reason why I was digging in as much as I was, because I don't want him to say that to another grieving mom. Sure. That I know what you're feeling. You don't, unless you've lost a child. You just don't. And then I was telling him, I said, and the way I lost my son adds to that. That's another layer on top of the grief. And I said, and then the person who's responsible is another layer. I just don't want you to tell somebody that. It's very, very hurtful, just to say that. So I'm having a lot of those conversations probably in the last year where I'm just like, no, it's not okay. This is not okay. And I am going to talk about my grief. Like one friend, I think she reached out to me. It's August. It's just, I know you're thinking about Joshie. And so in that moment, I was like, my life's garbage right now. My life's garbage. And so she says, well, is Facebook fake news? And I said, no. Have you met grieving people? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could talk to me at 1:00 today and my life was great. And then you talk to me at 4:00 and I'm like, it's all garbage. It's all garbage right now. And she's a therapist. So that was a little complicated because I'm like, you don't, I was like, no, Facebook isn't fake news. And why are you watching Facebook trying to see how I'm doing? I need you to reach out to me. Call me. But that's kind of the other thing. You can't watch somebody's social media post to say that that's how their life is, because that could be true or it could not be, And life was garbage for me, and it wasn't necessarily about grief. Grief was one part of it, but this summer, another layer to my grief is dealing with the physical limitations that I now have from this autoimmune disease. And so I probably haven't even been able to eat anything but a salad daily since February. Like, how many calories is that? So I don't have any energy, so it's different levels to the grief too. And that's what people kind of don't think about that. And then the other piece, my cousin, Lord bless her, Jesus. So, my son dies. I'm with Josh. We're trying to be intentional, just spending time together. We weren't really doing anything. And so because I wasn't visibly distraught, crying, screaming, whatever, she's like, oh, Wayna's fine. Oh. I'm like, how do you know? I said, I'm with Josh. She was like, oh, okay. And I said, I'm okay, But my girlfriend Shannon was like, yeah, but you're with Josh and, he's directly responsible for it. So that could change on a dime if you're okay. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes they just don't think outside the box about what somebody else might be feeling.
Sure.
My other cousin was sweet though. She reserved August 3rd. I'm not doing
Oh,
anything. I'm going to be by my phone all day in case she needs to talk.
that was really nice.
I know.
Really nice.
Yeah, and I didn't know that she was doing that. You know what I'm saying? But the other cousin called because she had an event going on, and she was like, "Why aren't you here?" And she's like, "I want to be available for Wayna." So I'm gonna. She's like, "She's fine." She was like, "Yeah, but it's 7. She might not be fine at 8, so I'm gonna be available for her." You know.
Yeah.
And this was
Wow.
the first time that somebody had really verbally said, "Hey, you matter. I'm gonna hold space. No matter what time today, I'm available. I'm stopping what I'm doing." You know.
I love that. This is my thought on that is should she have let you know that she was holding space for you all day? Would you have reached out to her? And I think
Oh,
that's
you ended up talking to her.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Because
I
that
didn't.
yeah.
Something happened and I got irritated. So I reached out to her. Like, "Girl, this is so dumb." Like, whatever it was. I can't remember. And then she just let me know at that time, "Girl,
Okay.
because we talked, because we were going to the taco place. So we were trying to coordinate meeting
Okay.
at the taco place, but they church let out late, mom's chatty, so she didn't get to
Sure.
meet us. And so she was just wanting to let me know, "I'm thinking about you. I'm still at church with mom. I'm sorry we haven't got there yet."
Yeah.
So that's just kind of where she was throughout the day. She didn't tell me like, "Hey, Wayne, I'm holding space for you today." It's just like, "I want you to know you're important and this is important."
Love that. I love that. And
Yeah.
people need to be that's something that the listeners need to really take note of, that just holding that space and letting people know that you're holding that space, I think is important for being available for them the whole day. And just reiterate what you said, like at 8 o'clock, you were fine. That who was to know at 9 o'clock how you were going to be? Nobody knows, and you didn't even know how you were going to
Right.
be. And something did happen.
I don't even remember. It's been being petty.
Yeah, whatever it was, but it still, made it that you weren't okay. And so those things happen, and people need to be aware of that. That stuff happens with grief. And I love when you talked about the cousin. I think you said a cousin that was checking on Facebook to see how people do with grief. Like, is it factual? Is it the truth? Not all of it is, and some of it is, because it can change all the time,
Like the
especially
blink
with grief.
of an eye. Blink of an eye. But yeah, I think those were rough. And then just the way my son died and me and my husband dynamics where we bump heads, clash.
Yeah.
More often, I think, because I appear to have it all together. Again, I'm not, as soon as you mention his name, I'm not in tears. Someone talks about what happened, I don't just shut down. So when I talk about my distress with my husband or whatever, with us figuring out this grief journey, most of the time people jump to his rescue because they say, "Oh my God, he has to be going through so much. Oh my God, he has to be dealing with it." I was like, whoa. Now, mind you, my husband don't even know these people. You know what I'm saying? He don't have a relationship with them or nothing. I'm just telling them about my challenges. And they automatically jump into a saver. They want to save him. They want to rescue him. Like me and my play godmother, who gave herself that title. Because I have a godmother. She gave herself that title. Okay. But me and her got into it because she was like, "No, you're too hard. You're angry. You're this, you're that." And I said, "What you think is anger is actually called direct communication." I'm communicating how I'm feeling, what was going on, and I'm communicating to you that when you try to save my husband, that erases my lived experience.
Yeah.
And I was like, "And you're my friend, like you're my person." He got 8 people that support him, and I'm looking for my fellowship in this moment. So
Yeah.
it's been kind of hard. It has. And with my cousin who held space for me, I am vocal and vulnerable with her. Like, hey girl, I know I call, but you're the only person that's available during the day to talk because everybody else is at work. And I was like, and I told her directly, I need fellowship when I call. I'm by myself a lot. I don't have any clients. I don't have anybody to talk to right now. I need to talk to somebody when I call.
Yeah.
And so just letting her know that changed everything. So she is one of those people that is going to answer the call because she's like, are you good right now? Is everything good? And I'm like, oh yeah, girl, I'm good. And I'm like, call me later when you get time, but she's very much, her and Kathy is my friend that was checking Facebook. They're very much people that are present. So if they are spending their time with you, it's focused on you. So kind of like where Poppy is. If I'm talking to him on the phone, he's not multitasking. He's not doing something else. He's listening to me, and they are kind of those people too. So, and Kathy's so busy. So even we have to schedule a time. But when you schedule it, that's your hour. She's completely dug into whatever you need support with or help with or whatever. And I got to get there because I'll be multitasking. So I'm going to get there.
Yeah, I have some friends that you can tell when I'm talking to them, like they are definitely multitasking. And sometimes I'll just say, like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Because I don't think they even realize sometimes what they're doing. And when I say that, then they're like, oh, okay, let me sit down. Like, they know if I said that, I know you're not paying attention to me. I need you to pay attention right now because you're distracting me with all of that noise that's going on. But I love that you have those people, and I will just say, like, when I work with clients, I always work with them to what I call find their tribe. Find those 3 or 4 people, or could be 2 or 3 people, that if you reach out, they're there, they're listening, mostly listening, not giving you advice. They're listening to you. And to make sure that we have those, and it sounds like you've got those people now in place. Were those people in place from the beginning, or have they come? And did you think that those would be your people?
So my one cousin, she actually moved back in town, like, gosh, maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
Or close to 3 years ago. I can't remember, but something like that. And so she had a 7-year breakup. So, and me and my husband had been together for 7 years at that time. So similar, kind of time frame. And so I reached out to her more because it's a breakup, it's 7 years. So I would just call her all the time. Not that she asked me to, because I'm concerned, switching your whole life to another state and all that. So me and her kind of moved like that already, me just showing up for her. But the
no
first
wonder
year,
she showed up for you, because you did that for her. I love that.
No, she's just one of those kind of people, though.
That's
in
awesome.
general, she's very nurturing and things like that. And it's kind of funny, though, because I have a million cousins. And nobody even knew me and her were close. Like, because, we don't talk. She lived out of town. We chit-chat, whatever. So then when she gets in town and we're together all the time, everybody's like, when did y'all become close? I was like, we've been close the whole time. But she kind of showed up. That first year was kind of gutter. Because, bless them, but my family, most of my family, they don't know how to deal with hard things or uncomfortable topics. So 9 times out of 10, they're calling me because they need some sort of support. Life is hard. This is garbage. I said, it can't be garbage. You ain't lost your children. It's figure outable.
Yeah.
But not a lot, I think. And I think people just don't know. And instead of just asking and saying, hey, I don't know how to support you, I need you to, let me in, let me know. I can just hold the phone. But I need you to tell me, because I want to be there. I don't know how. This is hard. And I'm very much a vocal person. I'll be like, okay, this is what would help me. Going to lunch on Saturdays, because that was when me and him went to tacos every Saturday. These are things that can help. But this second year, oof, it was really gutter. I ain't gonna even, it was gutter. It was a little gutter that second year. Cause woo, yeah.
So let me bring you back to those people that what I consider your tribe that you can reach out and talk to. Were they people that were that close and could really support you prior to Joshie?
Now a couple of people were.
Or did they that change and they came after he died to support you?
I pretty much always had Kathy. I've known Kathy since probably 2008, 2009. And I've known Dolores. Now, Kathy and Dolores are both older than me. They're probably in their 70s. And I met both of them around that time. And they've always been kind of a cheerleader for me, a support if I needed to talk about anything. Always, Kathy was spoiled my son Gabe Rodden. You know, she was like his other grandma. Just very good people. So those people were there prior to any of this.
And stayed
people
with you.
who I thought would have showed up would have been like my girlfriend Celine. Like prior to me even meeting Josh, me and her hung out every week for 8 years because I went to church in Illinois and that's where she lived. So some of my church people that I had known for a long time or that I know have that background, I would have thought they would have reached out more, just knowing the kind of person I am, the kind of mom I am. Just knowing that would be it would be a lie because I am a mama bear. I am. So I kind of would have thought they would have done more in that arena, but
that's what I wanted you to share was really for the listeners that who you expect aren't necessarily your people when you're going through a difficult loss, a difficult situation. Doesn't necessarily whatever transition or loss or whatever that is, who you expect to be there aren't always the people that show up for you. So just be aware of that.
My girlfriend Shannon's there. Shannon calls. She calls every day, and she was one of those people that would come by every Saturday and stay the night so I can get a good night's sleep. So his death is bothering her, not almost as much, but almost as much as it bothers me. But she has ADD, so we're back to where we were talking about. I mean, like I'm having a moment and I need to talk, and she'll be like squirrel, and that's every 5 minutes. And I'll be like, And so then I'll say, "Did you take your medication today?" So that's kind of because we're both very direct people. So she puts it together that I need to rein it in and I need to focus on what she's saying. I'm not. And then she can hold it for 5 minutes and then we're back. But her heart is so pure. Like she's just the sweetest person you ever met. But no, I have always been, prior to any of this, I've always been a person who needed to find her tribe. I've never been around people who, it's very hard for me to find people that like minds. And if they are like minds, they may not value relationships like I value relationships. So you got to find your people, like you said.
You have to find your people.
I'm taking invites.
Yay! Always looking for our people.
Healthy people.
And I think grief just puts another layer on that because not all people can communicate and speak and talk about grief and hold space for people that are grieving. It is an uncomfortable space for most people. So as we wind down this episode, maybe words of encouragement to those that might be in those first few years, or just really reiterating what you experienced to help support them as they're navigating that. What can you share with them?
Coming off of parents' bereavement month, July, I think any parent that is navigating bereavement, from losing your child, I would ask that you not make any big decisions,
Mm.
during that grief period. Now, I don't know what that looks like, if that's 5 years, is it 3 years?
Yeah.
But I would hold off on making big life altering decisions. Um, for me and my husband, I was the one. You're like, we're not doing that right now. We're not doing this right now. We have children involved. We're all grieving. I don't even care if you think that's what we need to do. I'm not doing it right now. And then be gentle with yourself. Be kind to yourself because your brain is not working fully.
With
There
that.
is that fog. Um, I lose my words all the time, like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I lose my thoughts, but just be gentle to yourself. Listen to your body.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up finding out I had lupus after all this time and it explaining why I've been so depleted most of my life. But I thought it was mommyhood. I thought it was this. I thought it was a divorce. I thought all these things. Listen to your
Yeah.
body. Be gentle with yourself. Pause any life altering decisions as long as you can to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Use your voice. A lot of times people don't know how to help you. Tell them you need help. I know I'm a visual person, so if I see a person smiling, even though they're telling me something hard, I'm going to assume they're okay about it because they're smiling, and that may not be true. So a lot of times you got to listen to the words to listen for what's behind the words. In my life journey, maybe yours, of finding your tribe, I'm always trying to progress, always trying to learn, how to be better and become a better human being, And so in that journey, you got to shed some dead weight, if they're not supporting you, if they're not serving you, they're not putting as much in the relationship as you are, you might have to shed some dead weight and make room for these new people that are coming into your life who can support you in a different and more effective way. But definitely, I would say use your voice. So that way, life is short. So we don't want to live with regrets. So I like to say, be direct and communicate my needs. And, the person can never say they didn't know. They can't say that.
Yeah.
But final message, Teresa and I both are lovers of people. We want to support you through this journey because we both know it's garbage. I know it one lived experience, and Teresa has her own lived experience in a very different way, but it leads to the same thing, that there is healing on the other side, and there is healing when we share where it hurts.
So true. So true. Well, I don't have anything else to say after that. Perfect. Thank you so much for being so open and vulnerable, sharing about Joshie, sharing your emotions, your feelings, the second year, the anniversary, because a lot of times I don't think people share that second year can be just as hard as the first. And I think that's important. That's important for people to know, and that we're here to support you for that. So until next time,
I'm LaWayna Berry.
And Teresa Reiniger.
See you soon.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Female Voices Life and Loss. We hope today's conversation brought you comfort, insight, and a sense of community. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with others who might need it. Stay connected, stay resilient, and until next time, keep growing and healing.